Mr. Transformers 96 here from the video. I'm going to talk about the two new Avengers Endgame Hot Toys figures that have gone on pre-order. I did make a video about Thanos when he was shown, of course, but he was shown on like a Saturday morning almost, so he didn't go on pre-order until Monday. Of course, the same can be said for the Iron Man Mark, I believe it's 85. So definitely wanted to talk about the two of these now that we have a price point as well as a release date too. So let's get into it. Overall, I'm disappointed by the price. Like, I'm not super disappointed, but I am definitely disappointed. I was hoping that Thanos would be under $400. Considering if you watch my video, I did kind of do a breakdown of what you get with this guy compared to what you get with the original Thanos, and you do get a little less when it comes to just accessories and stuff with this Thanos than you did with the last one, because you do get the extra things that you get with this Thanos are his weapon. You get his weapon, and then you get an extra set of hands for holding the weapon, and those are basically the only extra things that you get with this Thanos. With the original Thanos, what you get with it that are extra than the Endgame one is that you get an extra backdrop. You also get a bigger base, but you know, the base, even though you get a bigger one with this one, it's not a whole lot different, but you do get a backdrop with this one that you do not with the next one. And then the biggest thing that you get with this guy is the extra arm. You get the arm that is fully sculpted, and it's a totally new Infinity Gauntlet as well that has a light up feature that has his arm fully bent. So I think that additional arm is a much better accessory than the Endgame weapon, and therefore I do think that you get more just with what you get with it with this Thanos. Now the only thing that could that you could say for this Thanos that you get a little bit more of is just his costume is more intricate. It's a little bit more detailed, obviously, being that it's armor instead of this one, which is more cloth. I'm not sure which one's more expensive to produce, to be honest. I don't know if plastic is more expensive than the cloth, or if it's vice versa. Obviously, you have to tailor the costume. I would almost think that it's harder to make the cloth than it is the plastic, but I don't know. I honestly don't know, so I can't argue that fact. If it is just a lot more expensive to make the armor than it is to make the cloth, well then I kind of I understand a bit of why it's more expensive. I did expect it to be more expensive. The original Thanos is $376, obviously, which I think is annoying. I wish that they would just make it like average numbers, like make it $375. Compared to this one, which is $415. I would have liked this guy to be about $395. It looks a little bit better too, because then you didn't break into 400. It just makes people, excuse me, it makes people feel more comfortable about purchasing it, of course. But they did not only hit the $400 mark, but they went $15 above it. So you're spending an extra $29 from this Thanos to this Thanos, which I think is quite a bit expensive considering the original Thanos for Endgame. It wasn't like that was a great price. Like there's certain figures like that have happened before, like the Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy 1. I believe that he was a tremendous value. So the next Groot, like I was okay with it being a little bit more not as good of a value because the original one was such a good value. That original Groot was $200, which is crazy good for how big he is and how detailed he is. And again, that figure is all plastic, so I think that's where I think to myself, plastic must be cheaper to produce than the cloth is, because he was such a cheap figure and he was all plastic. But again, like I don't know which one is cheaper to make. Nonetheless, though, I'm disappointed by this price. Now, is $29, or from what I was thinking is like just a solid $20 or $15 gonna make or break it for me? I doubt it. I'm not going to pre-order it quite yet. I want to, not only do I want to get the original or the Endgame Thanos in hand, because I have ordered that one already. That one should be shipping this month. I certainly hope it is. But I want to get that one in hand first and really look over that. And then I want to see the movie, of course. I doubt that I'll see the movie and go, nah, I don't need this Thanos. I'm sure that it'll just prompt me to get this Thanos. But nonetheless, I do think that I'll probably get it. I'm just a little disappointed that it's what I would consider overpriced. I think that backing down the price would be a lot more reasonable, and it would make sense just because we have such a direct comparison. Like, usually we don't have this good of a comparison. Just last year this figure was produced basically in a different costume, and so we get the price from last year to this year, and it's crazy. And And the Infinity War figures were already super overpriced, like more so than usual. So it's just disappointing that they've gone up again, not to as high a degree as Infinity War went up from the previous films, but still they went up again, which is annoying. Now let's talk about the new Iron Man, the Mark 85. I like this armor, and I like it, I think, just because it relates to the, like, original comic Iron Man. Like, the classic Iron Man costume is similar to this, where it has the gold arms from the upper half and the gold legs from the upper half, and then it ends with the red, and then it has the red chest. You know, it's very similar to that original design, which I think is very fun that they're giving a nod to, like, the original comic look. Usually I don't like these kind of slick Iron Man costumes. I much prefer the ones from, like, I think Age of Ultron was the last time that I really liked an Iron Man costume. Like, just from a design perspective. Like, Infinity War, his armor was cool in what it did. Just, I wasn't a big fan of the design. But Age of Ultron and before, I really did enjoy the suits. But then after that, they got a little too ridiculous for me. They didn't look realistic, I guess, and I liked the idea of the realistic-looking suits that were in the original Iron Man films. But nonetheless, I do like the kind of the comic roots of this suit. So I do kind of like the design here. The price is $423 compared to last year's Iron Man, which mark is this? I think this is like Mark 50 if I'm not mistaken. And this was $407. So it's an extra $16 for this one, which isn't a huge upgrade in price. The only thing that's disappointing is you get more with the original one. Yet again, just like Thanos, however, with the original one, it's more definitive that you get more with it. Because obviously the suits themselves, they're on par with each other. They're basically the same. So it just comes down to the accessories with these two, and you get more with the original one. Considering they basically come with the same exact accessories. The only difference is, weapons-wise, you get this backpack piece with this one, which is a really cool backpack piece, don't get me wrong, but that's the only, like, weapon that you get with this Iron Man suit. However, with this Iron Man suit, you get a backpack piece, not quite as impressive as this one, but you get a backpack piece basically on par with that one. And you also get these two kind of claw weapon things, and then you get two guns as well. I believe that's a picture of the gun. Yeah, so you get the claw and the gun. So you just get more accessories with this one. Now, my only stipulation to that is that with this guy, there we go. With this guy, it's a little cut off here, but it does have a little piece that says additional accessories coming soon, which I don't know what that means. I don't know if it means that this figure will be getting accessories, or if they're going to do it like this one, where they just had a separate accessory pack that costs as much as a Hot Toys figure to get. So that's the only way that the extra if this guy actually does just come with more accessories that they're just not showing right now, well, then an extra $16 isn't bad, and possibly it could be a very good deal, depending on how many accessories that you get. But if that's not the case, if it's just saying that, like, you'll be able to buy an accessory pack like you were able to with this one, well, then the extra $16 kind of sucks. So yeah, so it's just disappointing. I will say that the head sculpt on this one is a new design than this one, and I think it looks better. Let's see if I can get a comparison here. Like, here's the Endgame one. Where's a good one? Let's see if I can find a good Stark head sculpt here. There you go. That's a nice head sculpt. That's a good looking head sculpt. Like, this one's nice, but it's not nearly as good. Here we go. There we go. Sorry, they're cut off a bit, but like, that's a real nice head sculpt. And this one's a good one, don't get me wrong, but that's nice. So I like the head sculpt better for this one, but it's not like it was any cheaper to make or anything like that. So overall, disappointed with the fact that this is more expensive, and definitely disappointed that this is more expensive. So both Thanos and Iron Man, I feel like, are definitely more expensive than they should be, considering when you compare them to the original, just accessories and costumes, you do tend to get less. You definitively get less with the Iron Man. With Thanos, you get less accessories. However, you can argue that you get more costume-wise, but again, I don't know if it's easier to make plastic than it is to make the fabric. So I don't know which one's cheaper. I would assume that the fabric is more expensive, to be quite honest, because they actually have to tailor that together. With the plastic, though, they just have to create the mold and then they're set. So I don't know. I feel like it would be more expensive to make the Infinity War Thanos than it would be to make this one. And it's definitely more expensive to make this Iron Man than it is to make this one, because you have to add 2 extra accessories with it basically. So overall, I'm a little disappointed by the prices on both of these. They're not horrifying. You know, this isn't they didn't both cost $450 or anything like that, but I do find them overpriced. Had this guy been a little bit cheaper, I might be interested in this. I'm interested in the idea of getting the original Trinity together, like the last look of them. If the Trinity does die, I have no idea, but let's say that the original Trinity does die, it would be really cool to get their last costumes: Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man. I plan to get Captain America, and we did actually get a little bit of a glimpse of him. I will do a separate video discussing that glimpse that we got, with Iron Man, it would be really cool to get, because, again, like, for once in years, I kind of like this new suit, and then Thor, it would just be cool to get his last costume as well. So yeah, there you go, that's my thoughts on the new Avengers Endgame figures that have gone on pre-order, Thanos and Iron Man Mark 85. Let me know, oh, also, quickly, before I go, let me just talk about the release dates on these. Thanos comes out a lot sooner than Iron Man does, as you can see. Thanos comes out at the very beginning of 2020, while Iron Man comes out mid-2020, essentially. So you're going to have to wait more than a year for Iron Man. You're going to have to wait less than a year for Thanos, which is nice. Thanos, I think, requires less new sculpting than Iron Man does, considering the head sculpt of Thanos is completely the same on both. It's just newly painted. And then I would assume that portions of the arms are reused too, so it's less new things to make than the Iron Man is, which has a completely new head sculpt. So I would assume that that's the reason for the big differences as far as release dates go. I'm happy with that Thanos release date, though. The Iron Man one's a little disappointing, but nothing terrible. So there you go. Let me know what you guys think of this, and thanks so much for watching.